I say try not to focus so much on leaving your body or having an experience, I say it because experiences happen when I'm not focused many times. And this was one of the experiences. And it's interesting because this is an experience that happened to me earlier this morning. I didn't have an opportunity to record it because it was close to me leaving work. It happened sometime between 5:15 a.m. and about 6 a.m. I'm guessing it happened about 5:45 a.m. and maybe lasted for 15 or 20 minutes, maybe. I'm not 100% sure because I can never get a great sense of time. It was a brief experience, guys. And again, if you heard my Sunday announcement, you know that I've been dealing with some things lately and I hadn't had any experiences. And then suddenly this morning I had an experience. So let me get right into it. So this morning at about 5:15 or so, got up, went to the restroom, came back. It was about, again, 5:20 or so in the morning when I got back, when I came back into the bed. And literally, again, when I put on National Public Radio and I'm listening to that, that means that, hey, I'm getting up soon. And so I'm not really necessarily expecting to have an experience. So I'm just relaxing until my alarm goes off. So I'm on my left side, National Public Radio's on, and suddenly I'm in that middle space. And guys, I am surprised when it happens. Interesting, the notes that I take in my mind when this happens. I was sharing this with my mom earlier this morning, and I don't know if I've said it before. I think I may have said it before, but it is literally like a light switch flipping on. That's what it feels like. It feels like a light switch has flipped on in my brain. So I'm laying down, I'm relaxing, I'm resting. You know, your mind is resting at that point. Just imagine that someone could flip a light switch on in your mind and suddenly it's like aware, it's awake, and suddenly you're in that middle space, the sweet spot. So as soon as this happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I was very, very, actually, I was very pleased that I was in that space. And it was funny, I could actually feel or hear myself kind of laughing in my thoughts, like, oh, this is so wonderful. I'm so glad to be in the middle space. I didn't know where I was going. I wasn't trying to focus on a specific place. I think at times like this, I leave it up to my more expanded self, or what some folks call their higher self, to kind of be in control of the situation. Now, that expanded self, of course, is still me, just as your expanded self is still you, but it's on a whole nother level. And I just let it watch out for things. You know, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, I'm not feeling great right now. You are in control. I'm just going to let you control things for now. So I feel myself starting to kind of go upwards and then go to the left. Okay, guys, this is classic Beyond Body, by the way. And for those who may just be tuning in and haven't watched my other videos, Beyond Body is, I guess you could compare it to reality shifting. Other people have. But it is a feeling, a sense that I am not separating from my body. It is a sense that my entire body is in movement. So when I say I was going up and going to the left, it literally felt as if my body was going up and going to the left. And then suddenly I'm in motion. Now, in an astral projection experience, of course, most times you'll feel some sort of separation, or you'll feel at some point that you're separate from your body. But I don't feel that. I do not feel that in the beyond body experiences. Suddenly, guys, I'm walking. It's dark. I'm in movement. I shouldn't say I'm walking. You know, it's so funny because I'm used to my body, just like everybody is. So you're thinking to yourself, you're walking. I was not walking. I was moving. My consciousness was in movement. Of course, because I'm so used to being in the 3D, I'm, I guess, imagining myself as walking. But my consciousness is in movement. And at some point, it's dark. It's dark at this point. And then, of course, the darkness lifts. And suddenly I found myself in this very spacious place. You know, the first thought that comes to my mind when I saw this place was it was like a showroom of some sort. Huge, big, just massive. And there were a few people I saw that were just kind of walking around. And then as I was walking, I saw a huge chalkboard. Now, this chalkboard, it had to be, and I'm just estimating, it had to be as tall as a fairly tall building, maybe. I mean, it was enormous. And it was filled with equations. And these equations, they looked complex to me. I wouldn't have been able to figure out what these equations were. They were just like, I knew they were equations. They looked complex. If you ask me what the numbers were, was this, I don't know, calculus or something? I don't have a clue. I have no clue what I was seeing. I just know that it appeared to be equations to me, and the chalkboard, as enormous as it was filled with these equations. Now I started walking along walking along the path and a path, and the chalkboard was on I guess it was on my right side. And so I'm looking at the chalkboard as I'm walking. Now, this chalkboard is going on and on and on. At some point, it curves. Literally, guys, if you can think of a chalkboard curving, it was really weird, but it curved. And even in the curves, you could see equations still filling every single space. Right? Just imagine that. Every single space is filled with equations, and it curved, and then it went on, and then it curved again, and then it went on, and then it went on and on and on and on. If you can imagine, again, equations. And at some point, I stopped, and being me, I touched the chalkboard to see if it was solid. Yes, guys, it was solid. Not only that, when I touched the chalk, I took my fingers and I looked at them. I took my index finger and my middle finger. They both had chalk dust on them. Kid you not. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is interesting. So at some point, there's a door. And I can see this door, and there's light coming out, like sunlight. So me being me again, I go towards the door, and I go out. And then once I'm out, I kind of jump up into the air and I start to float. So this is definitely a reality that I can fly in. But when I went up in the air, it was sort of slow. I didn't feel as light as I might normally feel. And I'm thinking it may have been because, again, it's been a while. Maybe I was feeling a little rusty. I'm not sure. But the the climb upwards, when I was going upwards, it was very slow, and I was near a tree when I was going up, and I stopped. And soon after this, that was it. I returned. I opened my eyes back in the 3D world. And yeah, very interesting. No idea, guys. I know. I have a question. I have a feeling, excuse me, if there are questions, someone's going to ask me, well, what do you think the equations were? Or what kind of equation? I'm telling you right now, before you ask me, I don't have the slightest clue what those equations were. Just so you know, I have no idea. I just know that the chalkboard was filled with them, and that chalkboard was as high as a building. So, anyway, thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.